Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 512 at scavengerlife.com.
Ryan, do you know one thing I don't like?
What?
That I hate?
I know a lot of things you don't.
When people ask me how I'm doing,
Yeah, okay.
and then I start telling them how I'm doing.
They don't listen.
And they don't really, and you can quickly tell they don't really care
Yes.
how I'm doing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or what you're doing.
And I
or
get it. I'm
whatever.
pretty good about knowing that, but sometimes people catch me off guard because I'll meet somebody I know who I'm like, oh, they probably do.
Let's talk about how we're doing.
They really, when they ask how I'm doing, they probably really want to know, and then I realize they don't. And it's
really...
It's disappointing.
It's sort of like... Honestly, it's kind of an American thing to ask that, but it's sort of like saying hello.
¿Qué pasa?
You're like, how are you? And you're not supposed to be like, let me go into a long...
No, I just...
You know what I mean?
Look,
I'm not saying that you're doing that, but...
I'm not socially awkward. I understand the rules of engagement.
Yes,
I'm just saying, it surprises me when it's someone who I think is asking and would actually care, and they don't. And it's disappointing. I never ask someone how they're doing and not care. I really... I mean...
I really want to know.
I care enough where I'm like, I'll start asking questions. Let's
get
dig
the
into
spreadsheet
this.
out, shall we?
Not a spreadsheet, but let's have a therapy set. I'm all about it. Anyway.
Yes.
Last week, you cut out of the podcast when I asked you, would you like to hear a sad story from my life?
I cut that out because I said no.
Why didn't you want to? Okay.
I think I wasn't in the mood, but...
It's a sad story.
Because I don't want to think of you as sad.
It's a sad story that turns into a happy story.
Okay, good. I like that. I like that premise better.
So, we have opened up this coffee shop.
Yes.
And we've hired 10 people, or our partners have.
Yes.
And a lot of them are young high school students,
High school, some are almost college,
And, and I'm just like, well, it's just like part of life, right? You start to see these young people, and you're like, oh my God.
Oh my God, you're so young.
I feel old. I'm like, I remember that time, and I remember being that age, and look, there was this comedian once that I heard, and he was like, you know what, your family, you're lucky if they can give you 50% of what you need.
Right.
And then the other 50%, you just have to find out in the world.
Yeah.
And that's so true. I mean, my family, look, I got fed, roof over my head, bills paid, it's fine. I didn't get a lot out of my family other than that. We all lied to each other, no one talked about anything. Yeah. Whatever, that's just...
Fun times.
Right. So I remember as soon as I could, I started to work because, I needed the money. My parents were like, if you want money, go and get it. Go work. So that's fine.
Which is good.
But I didn't have to feed myself. It was more. Yeah. I was working because I wanted social interaction.
Yeah. Outside of
other
house.
people.
Yeah, sure.
And I was really looking for a family.
Right.
And and don't get me started. Finding workplaces are not the best places to find. But that's why a lot of sitcoms are in workplaces because there's
you spend all this time there.
And I look at these young people. We're not hiring for a coffee shop.
Right.
I'm like, that's what I was doing. I'm not saying any of these people are doing that.
Right.
That's what I was doing. I was looking for interaction with people, just how to behave. My parents weren't good at teaching me how to
be out in the world.
Yeah. How to interact with people.
Not how to behave
how to be good adults.
Manners,
yeah. Just how to think about the world and at that time I had a lot of ideas as a little young Jay, right? And I had,
as we like to call him, Baby Jay.
And this was before
little baby
Cry
Jay.
Baby Wet Your Pants. And this is before phones. I'm and so I carried around a little notebook.
Oh, did you?
And I wrote down all my crazy thoughts, and I would write down all the things.
You did that when you were a teenager?
I mean, when I was a teenager, all the way up until...
I met you, and you were, scrawling in a notebook, and I was like, who is this crazy person? Even though you had a phone.
From the time I was 16 to, when I met you when I was 30, or I was 29, 30,
basically 30.
And, all the things I wanted to do, because really I had no money, I had no resources.
Yeah.
I really, honestly, had no idea what I was doing.
You're in Texas.
I worked jobs, I'd make my small amount of money, and then I would just spend it on just living and...
Well, eventually you bought a car, but...
Yeah. I bought a car.
Did you buy a car or motorcycle?
Well, that's a different story. And, and again, that was true up until my late 20s.
Yeah.
And then, Ryan, here's where the story gets good. I met you.
Oh, this is so cute. And I didn't even want to hear the story.
And it's funny, you know? I mean, when we met, like, I had a lot of ideas. Like, I was not, I was not an unambitious person. I just had no way to do it. Make it happen. Yeah. And it is. When we met, I mean, we were able to start building up our resources, focusing, making things happen. And I know it's always slower than we want, but, you know, we have done it a little bit at a time to where now we co-own this business where we're hiring these young people who are just like I was, you know. It's like the circle of life, Ryan.
Well, you see the cycle, you're like, oh my God, that was me. I remember that. And I remember how crappy my job was, so let's make sure
that is true. I mean, I remember, you know? I worked a lot of low-paying jobs where people who were probably not very healthy adults were running the show. Yes. So we are trying to make sure we're, you know, in a healthy environment.
Yes, and I know that there are other people in our business who have worked at restaurants or shops or cafes where they're like, oh, the owner was horrible. Like, let's not be those people.
And I will tell you, I mean, this is probably a dumb thing to say, but, you know, I really like being a boss. And not that I like being, well, because like everyone likes being the boss.
Well, no,
like,
but you mean it. You mean it in a specific way.
I just mean
explain.
Like I don't like the fact that I have like authority over people.
Right, that's not what it is.
Bossing people around.
Right.
But I really like that, you know, put our money into things where we're the ones who get the say.
Right.
And we can help build something that's cool and to bring people into something that's kind of exciting and that like is logical and it's fun and we're all in the room together and we're like, this is something good we're doing.
Right.
And I like that, you know.
Well, what I think,
and you know, I would always try and find this in other jobs. Yeah. But like the people in charge were like, yeah, I don't want it to be cool.
Right.
I don't know what, you know. It's like what,
or look, and this is why we became independent. Is you'd be in a place and you'd be like, I have this idea and I want to do this thing, and they're like, yeah, no.
Right.
And so goodbye.
And that's why starting our eBay business was fun too, because we could like do what we want.
Whatever you want.
We can sell what we want.
You find whatever you want.
Yeah, you can like
look
skip
at this
over.
Weird thing.
Like here's a box of shoes. Here's a box of
care
China.
About that. Yeah.
Pick which one.
Yeah,
do them both.
Do them both.
Whatever.
It's cheap enough. So yes. So I think when you're like, I like being the boss. Like the way that I translate that into like, you know, like you're saying, you're not like, I'm the one that tells everybody what to do. That's not what you're saying. You're like, I'm the one who can, with our co-owners who are also the boss, sort of like, you know, we see this transformation where we're like, we made this thing happen in a place that really needed it. And like, we want to continue to make it cool and be like, well, what can we do next? And what can we, you know, like...
Yep. Like we
have the resources to do it,
build the environment,
right? Exactly, the space, the feeling, the quality. Like those are the reasons why we didn't just rent it to someone. Right. We're like, we want to make sure the second you come in the door, you feel like this. Yeah, you know, and that's being the one in charge.
So we'll talk about that in a little bit. I want to talk about eBay real quick.
eBay. Yes. eBay.
You saw, because I feel like we've talked about this past couple of weeks, that, you know, when someone buys something from you, are you allowed to send them like personal info and like phone numbers, right? And people were like, well, as soon as they buy something, then you're allowed to do that. You saw
that the very right after the podcast, I was sending someone a message
of someone that bought something.
Yeah, someone was like, oh, I have a question about when this is arriving. And I was like, oh, here's the tracking. And USPS was down for a second. So I was like, you can't see it, but I can see it, you know. On the top of that page, what did it say? It was like, per eBay's policies, please do not exchange any, you know, basically saying no email, no PayPal, no They're saying we have the authority to do whatever we want if you exchange this information.
And so I'm not trying to beat a dead horse, but the reason why I keep bringing it up is because when people come on the forum and say they just got suspended because of XYZ, I mean, this is a thing we get very nervous about.
Scared.
And we're just like, we are not going to share personal info because I don't want some arbitrary
robot that shuts me down.
Some, person at eBay to shut us down because of that. So so that's why we have in the past kind of had to go around.
Well, like I did with the guy who's, like I said, he bought a little clock radio from us. And he was like, oh my gosh, I had the wrong address. This is being sent back to you. Please send it back to me. And how do I pay you for shipping? And I'm like, good question. How do you pay me for shipping? So I made a new listing just with the shipping price. Seems ridiculous. I should have just been like, Venmo me, bro.
So something else that Mike Cottage brought up on the forum, there's now the eBay standard envelope. I don't think it's new.
It's newish.
But they're broadening the categories.
Right.
Have you shipped anything with this?
No, because I don't think I really, if you tell me what the categories are, I don't really think I have anything in those categories.
I think it's still like trading cards, but maybe...
It should be postcards. It should expand to postcards.
Right, and photos.
Ephemera, things like that. I would like to be able to ship those things that way because it's so much cheaper for buyers. Paying $3 whatever for a piece of paper. Yeah.
But I think we were talking about why don't they just let you do anything? And I think what we were all figuring out was it's probably because
it's a letter.
eBay sellers. We're all scavengers. You're like, it's a letter that's 60 cents or whatever. Let me shove
whatever in.
As much as I can in it.
It's the thickness. Because if it becomes more thick, even if you have thick paper and you're sending someone something, they're like, oh, that bumped it up a class. Right. This is no longer a flat letter. Postage due.
But it is cool, though. I mean, again, you got to give eBay credit where credit's due. They're trying to figure out a way for people, certain kind of sellers, trading cards, to be able to send an envelope. Yeah. That's right. So what, 60? I don't know how much.
A regular envelope right now are 55 cents.
Tracking.
With tracking, it's minimal tracking, but at least you get a delivery.
Because I have heard of the sellers that create a whole, they have a separate eBay store for the things that they ship in postage because you'll never get top rated seller because there's never any tracking.
And there are a lot of people the Postcard guy who Spinach Eater, where that's all he does.
Yep.
Postcards. Tens of thousands of postcards. He sells them like crazy. Never have tracking. He can never have tracking.
Yep. And
this is the solution.
Yep.
And it's great. I'm excited.
And, I know people have there's that third party.
Yeah, there's it's business letter mail.
That kind of,
I've used it before just to try it.
And they were kind of hacking the postal service, kind of tricking the postal service to
it wasn't hacking it. It was I just don't know how they did it. Yeah. It wasn't a hack. It was allowed by the post office for bulk letter mail, bulk commercial letter mail, and I think that company had the bulk commercial letter, and then you pay for it because if you do a catalog, if say Uline, they send millions of catalogs and they're huge and they're annoying, but I think they get some kind of information through their bulk.
I got you.
They have an account with USPS,
I don't know.
Somebody can correct me, but that's my guess.
But anyway, so it's cool. So
that's very cool. I would love to see that expand.
Extra thing.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about our numbers for this week. So,
do we have to?
Yeah. I mean, I
want to know.
And I'll tell you why these numbers are so low. We sold 22 items.
Yeah.
Not great, but they're low dollar.
They're low.
Our gross sales, including the fees and shipping taxes, $885. Our gross wasn't even $1,000.
Gross. It's gross.
Our net sales when you minus eBay fees and shipping and taxes, $625.
I can't remember when it's been that low.
There was a summer like 4 or 5 years ago
where we were like,
when it was this slow. And so I'm not saying slow for everybody, but man, I don't know. I mean, we're sending offers
I'm listing.
Yeah.
I'm like, I have no time to list, and I'm still listing.
Yeah.
And man.
So what I think it is, eBay is listening on a phone. They hear we have a new business, and they're like, okay, they now have a new business, and
so
they're making money. So we're going to bump down their allotment of sales on eBay. That's what
now
it is.
You just started the craziest conspiracy theory, which I think you need to backtrack on. What do you really think it is?
I mean, look, I think it's just we've opened up a public coffee shop. We just see, and we'll talk about how good it's been for us. I mean, there is just a hunger for people to get out of their houses. People are getting the vaccine.
Yeah.
People are just getting more comfortable being out in public. I mean, people are like not worried about coming into a public space anymore. And I just think
masks,
and people are traveling to our little small town to go hiking, and
like people are not online. They're like, it's just.
And so I just think that might be it. Is that people are like, yep, being inside all day is done. We are now outside.
Yeah, get me out.
So
I'm not ordering stuff online.
In summers, last year was different because of the pandemic. Summers have traditionally been slower for us.
This is like the early
sellers.
Summer. Summer came early because of the vaccine.
Yeah.
People are like, let's go.
I don't know. We'll see.
Maybe.
All we can do is strap down and keep listing.
I have so much stuff to list.
Yeah. Things we sold, just like a lot of cool little weird stuff. I mean, kind of cool stuff.
Funny stuff.
Yeah. Some clothes.
Some T-shirts, some shoes. I'm like, whoa, people are buying stuff.
Yeah, little plates and, just strange.
I'm trying to even remember. Look, we're so busy with the coffee shop, that I'm like, I feel like sometimes I'm sleepwalking where I'm just like, pack the eBay. Yeah. Okay, now go. I'm not even looking at it. I'm just like, no, I gotta go roast some coffee. Yeah. But
it's good. We have the 3-day handling time, so that really helps.
So, I mean, I can't tell you how much that helps me, where I'm like...
I have to remind you,
I know.
Don't ship today.
You gotta get up at... we're up at, 6 a.m. and it's like, okay, now get out of the house. So, so that's helped me a lot. Although I try to do it at night, or if I do get up early enough, I just throw stuff in poly mailers.
Yep.
I'm like...
Oh. So, Scavenge of the week,
we went to a yard sale. What?
Well, it's kind of like the old days where we are not planning yard sales, but
we just saw one.
I'm driving home, there's a sign, let's stop by, and actually a thrift store we know was doing a big clean out, and I found some cool stuff. I found a stack of wrestling magazines, from the 80s,
pure gold.
They're like those... whatever, Tiger Beat style.
Yeah, it's like wrestler.
Where there's just all kinds of photos on it.
Just
Hulk Hogan. And there's posters of the wrestlers I remember.
It's from 1988. Dude, I was so into wrestling then. I was in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah.
So I was thinking they were going to be worth $1,000 each.
Really? Oh my God.
I mean... Again, I got to really dig into it, and maybe someone out there knows, this genre better than I do. But there seems to be some certain, what's so funny?
Professional wrestling genre.
There seems to be certain time periods that are more popular, or wrestlers that were real popular and that people want that.
So what are the prices? I mean, ballpark gun to the head, Jay. You always say to me,
gun to the head.
Ballpark.
I think one just normal $20. But if we have the ones that people are selling,
that's not bad. We have a stack,
$500.
Okay, well, that's research.
So we'll see.
That's fine. I love stuff like that where you're like, what is this? It's funny because you drove by that yard sale and you were like, go to this yard sale because I have my car separate, and I was like, I think I got there before they were open. So we were there an hour before they didn't open till 10, and I was there at 9 a.m., like on the dot. So they were still unpacking, and I was like, can I just unpack this box for you? Because I want to see what's underneath. They were like, great, sure. Like, you're doing our work for us.
It was just like buy donations.
It was buy donation. Which I also hate because I was
overpaid.
like, am I overpaying? Yeah. Am I paying too little? Like, this is cool stuff, you know?
I paid too much.
Well, you paid, I think I overpaid too. But
it's fine.
They had good stuff.
Cause. Yeah. I will say, so this is a time period where I don't know if this is the new normal or if this is just because like the government's dumping a bunch of money into the market. But, I noticed just everything's so expensive. We talked about it. Houses.
Yeah, lumber.
Stuff at, auction houses, trying to buy lots, just like stuff. It's, as a scavenger, it's tough because... Yeah. I was thinking about it in the truck the other day. It's like everything we've normally been buying is getting, expensive / popular.
Right.
And, mid-century modern stuff.
Yeah,
forget it.
You'll never find that for a good price.
I might kind of follow it at an auction, but it always goes for too much. Even rentals, like home rentals or homes. I mean, it's just...
Yeah.
The stuff normally I would look to buy is too expensive. And so as a scavenger, I was just thinking like, what are the things now that nobody wants that we can make cool? Because that's how we've done...
That's the only way.
Everything we've done on eBay is just like finding the items that like nobody thinks is cool. Yeah. And so... I don't know the answer, but
I was going to say, are you just going to give away the answer on the podcast so then it won't be?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, okay, so we're right. So I think we've started that with like finding China. I mean, we've talked about that before. I sell that stuff all the time, and I think there's enough stuff that like everyone else can try it too, because there's certain patterns and makers, and it's hard to find, and you don't want to store it, and you really don't want to ship it, but if you're willing to do it, I sell that stuff. I bought a set of china yesterday at this yard sale, and I was like, don't do it. And then I looked up the pattern, and I was like, I'm buying this. It's like, but I part it out. I'm going to part it out because I feel like that's a better way to do it.
Yeah. But I don't know if like it's going to die down and prices are going to get back to normal where you can go to an auction and buy a table lot for a normal, what I consider a normal price, or if it's just like these crazy prices are here to stay, or we just have to find like different places to shop.
And different stuff,
maybe it's, I've talked about it before where we go in cycles where we're like all yard sales. And then I'm only the flea market.
And only the auctions.
The past couple of years now, I've been mainly auctions. Yeah. And now, so maybe I need to go back to flea markets, and that's where the cool stuff is. Yeah. I was thinking about that today, because around here, there's a flea market that's every Saturday and Sunday that I love. Yeah. And I'm feeling safe now to go outside.
Right. You can go.
I think I'm going to go.
I mean, they have...
I love going...
They have so much junk, and by junk, I mean treasure.
I love going belly to belly.
Hidden.
With some guy behind a table.
Belly to belly.
And he's got all his junk. And
how much?
I'm just like, I'm going to make a pile. He's like, yeah, go for it.
And you're like, how much?
And he's like, $10.
And you're like, great.
Sold.
One time at that very flea market, I bought a little tiny wooden carving.
That's right.
For $1.
Yeah, $1.
I sold it for
$100.
$100. What was it? It was a tiger oak hand carved piece of a mantle.
Right.
And I knew that.
It's architectural salvage.
It was.
Right.
And someone probably was like, what is it? It was dirty.
Yep.
I was like, I'm going to sell that for $100. And I did. Those are the golden moments of the flea market where you're like, 50 cents. Great.
That's so nice. Yeah. Okay, so...
That's my memory of that flea market.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're in our roaster building, so you can probably hear our refrigerators. Yeah. We just added a refrigerator. So.
Customer issues.
Some returns. Someone said I was selling something that wasn't authentic. Well, they said item not described. This isn't authentic. that was a pain in the butt. I was like, it is authentic. It's actually an antique from wherever. And that was $100. So I had to
like $100 refund.
Yeah, those suck.
And then you just have to give a refund and move on.
And you know what? You relist it, and you relist it a little bit higher, and you get your money back.
So one thing I noticed, someone in Germany bought something from us, opened a case, and we had to close that case. Right?
Yes. So I think it was Belgium. They bought a piece of porcelain horse, which was as described. It had a chip on the ear. We showed it. We said that. All the stuff. So what he did was he opened a case, and he requested to open a return and said, this has a chip on the ear. And I wrote back and I was like, I said there was a chip on the ear. The third photo shows the chip. I'll gladly take your return from Belgium. He's not going to return that. He's not going to ship it back. So he didn't ship it back because he didn't want to return it. He just wanted money back.
Right.
He was like, he said, I would like, X amount of dollars back. And I was like, nope.
But the problem is, and it's not a problem, it's just the reality is the eBay managed payments, they put a hold on that money.
Yeah, so that got held for a month.
In limbo, and so you had to contact eBay in Belgium.
So this is what I know. This is what I don't. So it was a global shipping program item. This is what I don't understand. They said this person has until it was like April 16th to ship it back because it was a while ago. April 16th came and went. That case was just sitting open. So I had to contact eBay. Can you please close this case? Why isn't this closing? So they closed it for me. Mm-hmm. Why did it? I just hadn't noticed the date, and I was going through my returns when that guy returned that. It was a piece of jewelry, and I was like, I want my money. I want my $65. So they closed that. I just don't understand why that stuff is not closing on its own.
Yeah.
It should.
It did eventually close.
It did. They closed that day. Right. I just wrote an email and was like, please close this. So cool. They did.
We are going to forego phone calls today because we have a busy Sunday ahead of us here. But I would like to talk about the coffee business if anyone is interested. So
this is Coffee Talk.
Yeah.
You can stop it if you want.
Because we are partners in a business, we're actually 25%. So I have 25%, you have 25%, and we have two partners,
and
each
they
have
25%.
So we're not 50%, we're 25 each.
Yes.
Because we're our own people. I'm a little hesitant to talk about specific numbers because we have partners, so I'm not going to.
No.
But I will say, my partner, he had projected how much he thought this shop could make.
Right.
We're making double what he thought we could make in this shop. So that's good. I'm curbing our enthusiasm because it is early days.
This is our first week open.
How much is, just kind of curiosity, something new.
Right.
Give it a month.
Right.
I want to see what the business settles into. It has been a lot of fun to see local people coming in. It's kind of what we had hoped. A space that local people can come into. It's also a place where we have a lot of tourists in our town as well to, feel comfortable. That's fun. I also just it is a different business. We talked about it.
Right.
It's just
this is so different.
It is much more costs.
So much overhead. Well, we talked about that with brick and mortar stores.
Right.
This is more than that.
Yeah, but it is really interesting. I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Waking up early to be a part of opening, and we are not working behind the bar. Our two partners are in charge of running the day to day. I and you are doing more of the support staff.
Yeah,
so
we're
going
runners.
to the store to buy stuff, making sure they're stocked up. Then we roast coffee.
We roast it all, pack it, ship it.
It is
wholesale.
It is interesting. We're kind of building a job where we have more kind of regular hours.
Yeah, it's funny.
But
there's flexibility in that, though.
It's fun, and we've talked to our partners. The whole goal is we get this thing up and running.
Yeah.
And then we hire people to do these day-to-day jobs.
Right.
And then we all take more owner status in the business. But that's going to take a year.
It's going to take a while. It's like with our other, I mean, with eBay, we said we have a helper to do the photographs. I'm still listing, and I pack and ship and answer questions and do offers and stuff like that.
And it took us,
years and years to do
8 years to actually hire somebody.
So that's super helpful because I don't have time for that. And then with Airbnb, we have cleaners and we do maintenance and stuff like that, but we also get help with that.
Yeah.
And, that frees up our time. We have 3 houses getting flipped today, and there's no way we could have time to do that. So it's like you said, what's that book, The E-Myth? It's like the worst, but that is a really good, and it was written in the 90s, and you're like, no, he's right. It's like you master the process and the systems, and then you teach others to do it, and you oversee it. Yeah. You always check in if you want a quality business. Like, I'm always checking in with our cleaners, with our eBay helper. Like, you're always just like making sure it's going, but you're not actually physically doing that work because you're trying to do all these other things. Yeah. So that is the same idea. Yeah. What is it? The emythrevisited.com 1999.
It's true. I mean, everything you say is true and it's good. We're, and our partners, I think we're being very smart and, logical and building systems that make sense.
Building systems
that can be taught.
Yes.
We're writing things down.
Yes. There are systems. That's the key.
We're in our roasting facility right now.
Literally.
My part of it is so on point. It's so organized.
Well, you just got it on point.
I'm looking at it right now.
2 days ago. It looks amazing.
This is amazing.
I need help on my table.
I can teach somebody what I've done here and how to do it. So it's good.
That's right. That's
fun.
right. Well, it's sorry. This is I'm going on a rant here. It's systems. Yeah. It's building systems and keeping them up to date and running.
Right. And I will say, it is just so, my heart bursts with joy when, I come in at 7.
Yes.
And I bring the clean towels and I ask if they need anything. I help them fill things up. Yep. And then I sit at this certain table.
I know which table it is.
A big window.
You take the best table.
That's looking out over the Hawksbill Creek.
Yes.
And 15 minutes before we open, and the barista, he makes me an Americano.
That's your drink.
Delicious in a mug. And I sit there on my computer.
Yes.
And I drink it, and it's just tears of joy.
Oh, look, yes.
And then I see us open, and people are coming in right when we open.
People were waiting at the door this morning.
And, it's a lot of local people who I know, and then it's also people just from out of the area. Yeah. And I see them come in, I see them in the space, and I have to leave by 15 minutes after we open because it's getting too crowded. And
you got to give them the table.
I don't want to be one of those owners who clogs up the space.
You got to give the table to the customers.
But it really feels good. I really like that. It's a good feeling,
It's a great feeling.
It's I like money. Everyone likes money, but for me, the money is to build things like this, to have those kind of feelings and experiences. And it's great.
Well, the money is a tool. It's a tool to do these things.
Yeah, and really, eBay is the thing that started us down this whole road. And it's if it's a foundation, eBay is at the very bottom. It's built.
It's yes, exactly. It's I think about the basement of the house. The poured concrete basement.
Those old shoes is what
We sell old shoes on the internet.
Make this happen.
We saw these people that we knew walking on the Greenway. This is a few months ago, and this woman was like, "I remember when you were at the thrift store buying old socks, the old wool socks, to resew and wear, and now you have this, the coffee shop and whatever." And I was like, "Oh no, we still buy old socks to wear and repair. That hasn't changed." Yeah, right. I'm still that same person. Right. Trust me.
That's a whole other conversation.
It's just funny.
Okay. Anyway, we hope that you guys have been having a good week and you're waking up from your pandemic slumber, just being safe and made it through alive. So anyway, this podcast is ending. In
3, 2, 1, bye.